Should the world prepare for a prolonged disruption? Warning signs are flashing across global markets. With inventories tightening and price pressures building, the bigger question is no longer just about oil. It's about the global economy. Is this a new phase of inflation the world is not ready for? We break down the war tax on everything.
What we are witnessing is not a routine spike. It's a structural disruption. A key global oil route, the Strait of Hormuz, is now at the center of a major supply shock. Production losses in the Gulf have sharply reduced global availability, while shipments have slowed and inventories are rapidly thinning. The safety buffer that once stabilized oil markets is disappearing, and when energy supply tightens at this scale, the impact doesn't stay limited to oil. It spreads across the entire global economy. This is where the real impact begins and the war tax takes hold. Higher crude prices are already feeding into higher fuel costs, pushing up transportation, logistics, and aviation expenses worldwide. Supply chains still recovering from pandemic disruptions are once again under pressure. For consumers, this translates into rising food prices, higher cost of goods, and persistent inflation.
Everywhere in the world, in Asia and Europe, even in the United States, which produces a lot of oil of its own, consumers will feel a massive impact. So to begin with, the peak of the crisis will probably be felt in jet fuel, meaning people will fly less. Everything we're getting at home, from potatoes to furniture, is being delivered by trucks, and there is a shortage of diesel, meaning everything will become more expensive to transport.
For policymakers, the challenge intensifies. Central banks like the Federal Reserve and Reserve Bank of India now face a difficult trade-off, controlling inflation while trying to support growth. The longer this disruption lasts, the deeper the economic impact. Sustained high energy prices act like a tax on the global economy, slowing consumption, squeezing corporate margins, and delaying investments. Even if supply improves later, rebuilding depleted inventories will keep demand elevated and prices under pressure. With $150 oil turning into a real possibility, wallets across the world are set to feel the impact. Business Bureau, WION World is One.
And for more insight on the topic, we spoke to former Secretary of Finance Ministry, R. Gopalan, and this is what he told us.
The supply and prices are the two areas which will get, impacted. So, which will mean that, your trade and finance channels will get affected. Your output channel will also get affected because supply gets, reduced. So, all these things will contribute to prices rising. So, ultimately, the problem is of inflation and output, inflation going up and output going down ultimately. So, will it lead to stagflation? Is an issue which we need to wait and watch.
When asked about his prediction on oil prices, this is what he also said.
Judging by the way the supply in various other places are ramped up, and if you look at the US's, inclination to continue the war for a long time is not at its height. So there is a possibility that $150 may not be a realistic assumption at with all current inputs, taking into account all the current inputs. Maybe it will touch once a while. It's possible something happens drastically to the war and production facilities. Yes, it may go up, touch for a while, but I don't think that is going to be the kind of price which we will be seeing. More likely will be about 100 to 125 in the near term. And maybe in 26, it will be around about 100, 90, 100. And 27, we may look at about 70, 80 kind of prices. That's my assessment of the examining the current conditions of production, supply, and the disturbance due to war and alternate supplies, and taking all those into account. This seems to be my way of looking at it currently. So if there are other inputs which come in on account of the war, I may have to revise my assumptions.